Okay, good. Good morning, everyone. I'm Peter Zanoni, the city manager of the city of Corpus Christi. We want to welcome you here this morning. This is a press briefing on the status of our water, and it's meant to be somewhat interactive to make sure you have the best information that you can get from the city. So I'm going to speak for a little bit. Nick Winkleman, our Chief Operating Officer of Corpus Christi Water, will speak also, and we'll have time for question and answers along the way this morning. So we'll be here for about an hour this morning. The first message I want to talk about this morning, yes, sir. Okay. Are you from the Jetty?
No.
Oh, okay. Great. The first message I want to talk about this morning is I think the message that's out there this week on our water supply is not the most accurate one. I think the message that's being portrayed, even by the city to some extent, is not accurate. So we want to try to make sure we get you the most accurate message today. And it stems from the modeling that we have been doing for about a year now. And about 2 weeks ago, I asked for additional models. We've had one, you're all familiar with it, it's on our website. In the city's history, that's the first time we've had an integrated dashboard model as such. Excuse me, but the one model we had was not robust enough to manage this event. And so I asked for additional models. And in fact, today, through the work over the past 2 weeks, we have a total of 6 models. We have the original one and 5 additional models that we're using now to help guide us through this emergency. You can consider it an emergency. A drought of this magnitude is significant and severe, and that's why our western reservoirs are in the state that they're in today. And so the models are much akin to when we do have a hurricane. You're all familiar with that. No weather service projects an immediate pinpoint when that event begins, right? There's a cone of where the storm could hit. And so that's what those models are meant to be. They're meant to guide us, myself, and the city council as we weather through this event. And they will change as new data comes in. As an example, today, we're going to meet with TCEQ later in the day, and we expect today to get draft permits for our bed and banks for the western reservoir, and so that could change one of the models, one or more. And so those models, I think, were misinterpreted this week to say that what we were projecting for November curtailment now is happening in May. I think is one of the dates that was used, and that's not the case. There is a range of probability of when that level 1 emergency could be called. And on Tuesday with City Council, we'll show those various models and talk to the council and the community about the predictability or the chance that one model would prevail over the next. And so that's an important message to get out there. We're not going to hand them out today or pass them out, but I do have them, and we're going to refine them over the weekend. And it includes our best case scenario that we've been using, and it goes all the way to what could be a worst case scenario, depending on permits. So one thing I want you to know is that this city and the several teammates here from the city, from Corpus Christi Water, Nick Winkleman's here, and many teammates that are not here have been working tremendously over the past year, bringing forward to City Council everything we can that totaled $1 billion. This is not the desal I'm talking about. But we have brought forth projects totaling $1 billion that will generate 76 million gallons of water. New water supply, the first new water supply in decades for the city. So that those projects that we've been working on are on schedule. Everything that we can do, meaning the city and our contractors like design and construction, we're doing, and we're either on schedule or ahead of schedule. Another way of putting it, we are we're either complete with some projects, we're in design on others, and then construction is full underway in others. And so the only missing part in a few of those projects that can have significance are permits, permits that we don't control, permits that the state controls, or groundwater conservation districts like the San Patricio Groundwater Conservation District. So everything that we can possibly do, we're doing. Everything that we have control over, we're doing. And so the notion, because I've seen it, and you hear it, that, oh, the city's not doing anything, you know, what have you all been doing? You knew this was coming. We're doing everything we can do to advance $1 billion worth of projects that will bring 76 million gallons of new water every day to our supply chain. And so the last holdup that we're working through right now in a few of those projects is unfortunately a piece of paper. It's a permit, and either from TCEQ or from a groundwater conservation district like the San Patricio one. But we're working through that as well. In fact, today we have a meeting to try to advance some of the permits for our western well fields. So as I mentioned, Nick will talk about these later, but we have groundwater projects in Nueces County. We have effluent reuse for the first time ever in the city's history. That is nearly 60% design, one phase of it. And then we have a groundwater project in Nueces, in San Patricio County, the Evangeline. Those total the 76 million gallons of new water. So those models include various points when that water comes online, and the models reflect variances in when we get certain things like the permits. They also show staging of when water comes online. And I can tell you that the model that we have been using, if we hit the mark on everything, not only did it look pretty decent before, but there is no curtailment in that new model. There's more water than we need, meaning we can probably reduce some of the groundwater, which is good for the community that has concerns on the groundwater. So those models, again, will show to City Council on Tuesday. And again, the message is that the message from this week is not right, which is that there's not somebody didn't forecast something and there's a drastic change in the level 1 emergency. That's just not it. What it is now we have more information than ever to use over the next couple of months as decisions are made at the state level and at groundwater conservation district levels to make decisions on either moving into some type of additional conversation on water availability or trying to bring on more water through additional sources. So let me just see what else here. I think one other thing, and then we'll have Nick talk about our projects, is just kind of where we are in general. So we know, as an example, last Friday, I was at the banks of Lake Corpus Christi, right? And we know, everybody knows here, we've been in a drought. This drought is gripping. They don't declare a drought of record until the drought is over. But I want to declare a drought of record. This is the worst drought that we've ever been in. And that's evidenced by things like annual rainfall. That's things like the level of the lakes at Corpus Christi and Choke Canyon, and even Lake Texana now is beginning to be a problem. And we've known about it, and we've been working to address it. And that's the other important piece, I think, for this morning, is that we just didn't start yesterday. We really started about 5 years ago, but let me fast track to about 3 years ago. When we increased the reliance of water from our eastern resources, Lake Texana and the lower Colorado River, that started 3 years ago. And so today, it doesn't get much attention because it's about a year old. But today we're bringing about 24 million more gallons of water every day through our conveyance system, the Mary Roads Pipeline, that we weren't just a year ago. That was step one in helping us get through this drought of record. And that just didn't happen. It wasn't just, turning the pump up. And so we did a study of the Mary Roads Pipeline first to see how strong was it. It's 25 years old. And then we invested $16 million on improving the pipeline pumping system the air relief valves, the strength of it, making sure exceedances didn't occur. And so by doing all that and working with our partners along the pipeline, including the Lavaca-Navidad River Authority, we have increased the water production by 24 million. That took about 2 years plus the 1 year of the study. And so that was step one. In the past year, we've looked at groundwater projects here in Nueces County. And for the second time in as many years, we worked on the Evangeline project. That project development just didn't start this last year. We worked 2 years ago on another model, business model that ultimately didn't come to fruition. But all that work on the groundwater projects, the effluent reuse, have taken the last two years or so. And now they're all approved by City Council. That's what we've been doing the past couple of months, past couple of quarters, is bringing them to City Council, working with the council. They have, with almost unanimous votes, approved $1 billion worth of projects outside of desal. And on top of that, we're working on our Inner Harbor desal. We're also working on the Harbor Island desal project with the Nueces River Authority. And we're going to have a resolution next week to authorize work with CPS and the Barney Davis site as a third potential option for a desal facility. And those are longer term projects. So the work that we have done is now, as I mentioned, either complete, and Nick will talk about that on our Eastern well field. It's in design, like Evangeline. By the end of this month, Evangeline will be 60% complete in its design. And in about 5 weeks, construction crews are pulling up to begin the work on the site. And so everything is either complete in design or under construction to bring on the water that will forego any type of curtailment. And then the last step in some of these projects is not us, it's the state agencies or groundwater conservation districts that have to bring on these permits to allow us to do that final step. Let me just go back one more thing on the models themselves. So one reason we develop more models is that, well, let me step back one step here. So every other week for the past year or so, we've updated that one model that we've had. Every 2 weeks or so, the city and our consultants updated that model and put it on our website. But this last go around about 2+ weeks ago, I told the team, let's do more than just the one. And the reason is that we have more information now that gave us reason to do that. And that includes some basic stuff like the weather. And so last fall we had chances for rain. This winter we had chances for rain. This early spring, January, February, March, we've had chances for rain. But we have missed every mark. We have not got the rain. I think in some cases it was zero. Zero for the month, which is unusual. That is highly unusual. Nobody could have predicted that. And so some of our models now reflect no rain for the rest of the year. I told the team in our workshops, why even forecast rain if we're missing basic rain amounts each month, right? So one of the changes is in the model that we'll see Tuesday on some of them is no rain forecasted at all. Other scenarios include increasing the evaporation rate. We've reassessed as the amount of water in our western and even Lake Texana, as that dwindles, the experts acknowledge that the evaporation rate will increase, meaning the amount of water that's left will evaporate quicker. And so we've updated some of the models to have a more accelerated evaporation rate. And that's based on what we see, right? As we learn how these lakes behave, they've never been this low before. And so we're using actual real-time data, actual evaporation rates to help us inform for the remainder of the lake's supply that's there. We also, I don't think anybody saw this coming, even the operators of the Lake Texana. Lake Texana now also is, I would say, in trouble. Lake Texana has always been a stable water supply. This last year, not only did we exceed our entire amount of water that we have a contract for, but we actually bought additional water through water rights from another customer that generally buys it. But Lake Texana is now also suffering from the drought that's gripping the Nueces region. And so today, Lake Texana is at 55% capacity based on the state's Texas Water Development Board website. And that's low. I think it's only been this low one time before, back in the drought of record of 2011. So Lake Texana, which for us right now is one of our mainstay water supplies. We're getting 70% of our water from East Texas, about half from Lake Texana, and half from the Lower Colorado River. With that supply questionable, we've adjusted some of these 6 models to reflect that, to say that potentially in April, we would have to follow their drought management plan, which is a 10% reduction in water that we can buy. Every 10% drop in that lake level is another 10% cut in our ability to buy water from them. So given that fact, some of our models include that. One other thing that we've seen, and you all have covered it, is the issue of arsenic. And some thought initially it might be coming from our groundwater wells, but I can tell you right now it's not. Our tests of that water are non-detect for the majority of the wells. One well has a little bit of arsenic, but it's not near the level that would raise concern. So what we're finding out is that the lakes in our west, Lake Texana, Choke Canyon and Lake Corpus Christi, as the water supply dwindles, the arsenic readings, or the level of arsenic in the water, is going up to where it's almost twice the exceedance, just almost 2 times what you want it to be. So based on that information that we didn't know until we got to this point, we're revising how much water you can draw out of the lakes before you draw them to a conceptual 0. So in the prior models, we had the lakes going all the way down to 0. And I questioned that. I'm like, how could we do that? If the quality of water that we're seeing even right now at this 9 and 8% volume percent capacity is high, we have to probably rethink that. And so we changed that in some of the models of how much you can draw down the lakes. And then the last thing is that our eastern well field, which is our first groundwater project in Nueces County, that has enough capacity in terms of wells and pumps and a permit to produce 10 million gallons of water a day. But because of the management plan that we have for water quality on salt, on TDS, we're not able to put 10 million in, and we haven't been for the past couple of months. And so we've had to adjust the model for that as well. So these are just some of the reasons that we have additional models. I want to answer the question, well, you didn't know this, how come you didn't have this before? It's based on real-time data. It's based on more evidence that we have. As I've been telling several persons and media outlets, this city, even though we have a great track record for managing emergencies and disasters because of our location to the coast, we have never been through this type of a situation where we have a major issue in our water supply. And so we don't have anything to fall back on. I can't pull a manual from the last time this happened. I can't go talk to the former city manager who went through this, because nobody's been through this. Nobody. And so a lot of this we're creating, and we're refining our approach as we go forward based on new evidence that isn't available until you get to the point in time. And so I just want to point that out. What we want to do at this point is I'm going to reiterate my message in the beginning, then Nick's going to come up, because we want to make sure that this community understands the enormity of the amount of work we're doing to bring on 76 million gallons of water. That's a massive amount. 76 million is traditionally, when the lakes were full, is what we would get from those 2 massive bodies of water, Lake Corpus Christi and Choke Canyon. So this is a lot of water, and we want to make sure you understand it. Over the next couple of weeks, I'm actually going to be out in the community to go to those projects so the community can see. I'm going to go firsthand to the project sites with our videographer team, and we're going to put out short videos so the community can see the tremendous amount of work that we're doing, can see the assets, can see the work, can meet some of the operators, and understand that this is real. Because unless you see it, I think, and you live it, I hear the questions, which are, what is the city doing? Where's the water? And so we want to show that. So we're going to show that in these couple of weeks. But before Nick gets into that, just again, the message this week, I think, is off. The message is not that this level 1 emergency is all of a sudden coming and we didn't see it, and it's coming sooner than later. That's not it. And so Tuesday, what we'll review with council is the baseline model that we've been working on with the council. And in fact, that one has improved. It looks better than it ever did. But we're also going to show them five other versions of it so that they can see the wide reach of options that are out there. And nobody's picked one model. The city manager hasn't picked any model. The council hasn't picked any model because we don't have enough data to pick a model yet. We're going to get more data today. We're going to get more data over the weekend. Eventually, we'll narrow in on one model, and if we have to start talking about level 1 water emergencies, we'll pick that model to help justify that conversation. But we're not quite there yet. We're not there yet, which is an important message. We're not running out of water. We're not in trouble. Like I said last week at Lake Corpus Christi, this is no time to panic. It's no time to doubt the work that we've been doing for years. It's time to recognize that we have water supply. We have 76 million gallons of new supply. The only thing we're missing is a piece of paper for the permit for some of those projects. We have done tremendous amount of work, and we have teams working across this city, this county, and in San Patricio County to keep this community and region safe with water supply. And that's without any doubt. I have no issue stating this. I want the community to have the confidence that we have. I want the community also to know that we have plans and we have information should there be a slight interruption in one of our sources. And so we know how to prepare for things that we don't want to happen. And so we have a plan, and we're going to begin to develop that more in these coming weeks and months with the City Council. Now that we've spent over a year, probably 2 years, working all these projects through the council, now our focus will shift to not developing, because we have a baseline that's called our drought management plan. It's going to shift to further developing the emergency plans if we have to go into them, level 1 water emergency. And this is not unusual for any water system in the country, especially in Texas. I would suspect that many of our partner agencies have the same type of protocols. They just haven't had to look into them as much as we are. And then one final thing before Nick comes in is that one thing we've been saying across the community is that the work we've been doing and the historic votes that this city council that's sitting with us today, the historic tremendous votes that they have taken are not just to get us through this drought. The votes that they are doing, this city council, the work that we are doing is changing the nature of our water system for generations to come. I know as city manager, this has been tough to go through this event, and the next city manager that will be here behind me, I don't want them to go through the same thing, nor this community. We have the single family residential home, the commercial business, the large volume user, like our partners on the ship channel. They shouldn't be in any doubt about, am I going to have water coming out of my faucet, or the hotel, or the refinery? And so the work we're doing is to change this model that we have, for permanently change it. And so the projects we're developing, like our groundwater projects, it's something that we did since the 50s, but the city never owned the asset, and we never maintained the asset, and they fell in repair when the reservoirs rebounded. And so what we're building is permanent systems that can intermittently be used. They include robust projects like effluent reuse, which is 16 million gallons of new water, essentially, put into the system. They include groundwater projects in vast tracts of land, like 22,000 acres, the family ranch in San Patricio County, that will intermittently use. It's high quality, robust development. And when you couple that with seawater desalination, which can produce, right now with the 3 projects we have, anywhere from 30 to 50 million gallons of water, we're going to finally, for the first time ever, have a system that is reliable, that has redundancy, and that is robust, and we just don't have that right now. We don't have that. And so that's what we've been working on. It's not just getting past this drought, but it's revolutionizing and making generational changes in our water system for this region. And so we're proud about that. It doesn't get much attention because people aren't talking about it much, but we are. And so I want to mention that again here today too. The work we're doing is not just to get past the drought and hope the reservoirs fill up, and then we go on to new business. This is a big change, folks, and it's going to bring stability to our neighborhoods, to our commercial businesses, and maybe most importantly to our economic engine, our industrial customers that we have here in San Patricio County. Okay, so with that, let me take a quick break here. Nick's going to come up and just highlight where we are generally, talking about what is the project, how much water it can produce, and the status of it. And then I'll come back up after Nick, and we'll take questions from the media.
Thank you, Peter. I appreciate that. Again, my name is Nick Winkleman. I'm the Chief Operating Officer of Corpus Christi Water. Corpus Christi Water proudly serves the Coastal Bend region. We serve approximately 500,000 people in 7 different counties. We're dedicated to doing that each and every day. One thing that I do want to reiterate is previously our water supply was solely based on surface water, and for a long time that had solely consisted of Lake Corpus Christi and Choke Canyon Reservoir. The city in the past took tremendous efforts to diversify its surface water system through the Mary Roads pipeline, with the addition of water from Lake Texana and with the addition of water from the lower Colorado River. That in itself is monumental, and that is today the backbone of our system. As the city manager stated, that's providing approximately 70 to 75% of our water today. However, all of those sources are still surface water. So under the leadership and the direction of our city manager, CCW has moved to execute a strategic plan to diversify our water supply portfolio. Diversifying the portfolio means much more than surface water. We have to add groundwater resources. We have to utilize effluent wastewater reuse as a way to offset our demand. And then the addition of seawater desalination further completes that diversification of the portfolio. So what I would like to do today is just give you a brief overview of many of the projects. Like the city manager stated, there is tremendous amounts of work that's ongoing. Just so I can keep it straight in my head, we're going to go from east to west when you look at the projects. They're in no order, but we'll go from east to west. So the first is the Evangeline Groundwater Project that's located in San Patricio County. With the support of our city council, we have moved significantly into the full design of that project. The project will be at 60% design at the end of this month, at the end of March. We've also executed contracts to advance construction and pre-construction services. In April, we will start some field work on the property itself. That will include establishment of roads and installation of water lines. The project itself, however, is delayed because we are awaiting water well permits from the San Patricio County Groundwater Conservation District and water transport permits. However, the important thing to note is that same district has approved production permits previously. They approved it once and renewed it with a total volume of approximately 24 million gallons a day. We feel confident in obtaining these water well permits, which will allow the drilling to begin. Our goal has been and continues to be able to provide partial delivery of that water into the Mary Roads pipeline in November. One of the advantages of the Evangeline project, and I've said it a lot, is location. The Evangeline project is located adjacent to the Mary Roads pipeline, which of course conveys water to the Owen Stevens water treatment plant. That allows for a quicker delivery when you look at large projects of this magnitude. We will utilize our existing infrastructure to make this happen and deliver the project as efficiently as possible. The next project I'd like to talk about is our effluent reuse projects within the city. The city itself has a significant advantage. We have customers that can use large amounts of effluent wastewater that has been treated at some of our 6 wastewater treatment plants. City Council approved a contract with Valero just approximately 2 months ago. Valero, at full completion, will utilize 8 million gallons a day of effluent reuse. Additionally, we have a contract, Council has also approved a contract with Flint Hills Resources. That's for 2 million gallons a day. And then the city itself is working on other wastewater infrastructure projects that will allow us to offer an additional 6 million gallons a day to our customers. And we are currently working on contracts with those customers to utilize that water. All of that being said, that's approximately 16 million gallons a day that can offset our water supply demand. That's a lot. It's a lot. We are utilizing the resources we have. We're utilizing the great work by our wastewater staff and the benefits of having 6 wastewater treatment plants to benefit and offset our water supply portfolio. The next project I want to talk about is another groundwater project. That's our Nueces County groundwater project. So in Nueces County, we have multiple well fields. The first is the eastern well field that's located on County Road 73. The city and CCW utilize existing city property to construct wells. The wells are approximately 800 feet deep. They target the lower Chico and upper Evangeline formations in the Gulf Coast aquifer. And what we did is we developed those wells, and we're producing water today and pumping it into the Nueces River. The Nueces River then conveys that water to the Owen Stevens water treatment plant. We have an additional project in the west, which is we refer to as the Western Well Field. We are currently drilling and developing 12 wells in the Western Well Field. And then just recently, Council approved a water rights purchase from the Ed Rochelle Foundation. That property is located adjacent to the existing Western Well Field. Together, the Western Well Field and the Ed Rochelle property, the hydrogeologist has concluded modeling and has recommended that we can produce 26 million gallons a day from that property as well. That's very exciting. Staff is moving very quickly and very fast to deliver that project. We are working with TCQ on a bed and banks permit for that project. That is, we have a meeting this afternoon with TCQ. We are waiting on that permit to begin delivery of that project and pumping of that water. Additionally, and the city manager stated, our continued efforts to include seawater desalination into our portfolio. Council has authorized staff to negotiate with the Corpus Christi desal partners to develop a contract to design and construct the Inner Harbor seawater desalination plant. That plant would be capable of producing 30 million gallons a day of treated water. Additionally, the city is supporting the Harbor Island seawater desalination plant. Previously, Council approved a reservation fee for 50 million gallons a day. That allows us to work with the Nueces River Authority, who is managing that project, and allows us to provide input and opportunity to determine the alignment of that conveyance line, which is important because we have to get the water from that plant into our system. Again, the reservation fee for the city of Corpus Christi and the region was 50 million gallons a day. And then lastly, we are continuing to investigate the Barney Davis site for another seawater desalination plant. All that being said, there's tons of work being done by tons of committed professional individuals at Corpus Christi Water. We are proud to have them, we're proud to work with them, and they are working tirelessly to bring these projects online. Why are they important? All of these projects will diversify our water supply portfolio and make this region sustainable in the future. in a position where we can handle historic droughts like we're seeing today. That's the overview. I'll step back and turn it back over to the city manager.
Okay, great.
Thank you, Peter.
Yes, sir. Great, thank you, Nick. So I'm just gonna recap the conversation that we've had, and then we'll open it up for questions. So again, the message from us today is one of confidence. It's one that, yes, we're in a drought of record, a historic drought, but we've been working to mitigate it for the past 3+ years. And it's evidenced by what Nick just went over, $1 billion worth of brand new water supply projects that have never been brought online before, that are being brought online, that are already online, that are nearing completion and design or are under construction. We're going to get through this drought. We still have water in our western reservoirs. I was just up there at Choke Canyon last week. There's still water remaining. We're bringing on new sources, and we're working with our partners at the Lavaca-Navidad River Authority. And we're also hopeful that it might rain one day. We may get some rain. So we have confidence we're going to be able to deliver. But we have plans as well, and that's an important part. And I think that's what led to this week's conversation out there, whether it was 100% accurate or not. We have plans and we have information, and we need to be ready in the event there's something that doesn't come to the completion as we expect it to. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's what people do. That's what you do. We plan, we execute, but we have to be ready in case something out of our control doesn't come to light, like a permit or like the weather, right? So that's a smart thing to do. It's the right thing to do. And so next Tuesday at City Council, we'll work with the council. For the next couple of months, we'll be working with the council also and the community on if we did have to go into a level 1 water emergency, what does it mean? How do we get through it? What's the rate structure? What's this thing about curtailment? And so that's what we'll be working on with City Council as well, because there's really not much out there because we've never been through this before. So we do appreciate you being here this morning, especially on the short notice from yesterday. And at this point, we're here. I'm here, and Nick is here to take any questions that you might have. Yes, sir.
You talk about the models, and a press release from the city this week says the models account for groundwater availability, various permits. March 6th water memo makes clear that the two largest water projects, Evangeline and the Western Well Field River Delivery, are both permit dependent, right?
Right.
So are any of the 6 models built in a scenario where one of the permits is delayed or denied? If so, does the date, or what date does that model project for a level 1 emergency?
Right, yeah, so I'm not going to give out any dates today just because that's what we'll do Tuesday. But I can answer the other part of your question, which is knowing that has probability, or there's a chance that we might not get the permits when we expect. We do have a model where there are no permits. I wanted to see what's the most dire circumstance where we can't bring on any more groundwater, we can't bring on Evangeline, not because of us, but because of the permits. And so we do have that. And of course, that's going to be when the curtailment or that level 1 water emergency would be implemented the soonest. We do have a model that shows the anticipated date of those permits, at least the Nueces groundwater, and that's the May timeframe. And so we have a model that shows that, and that's a pretty decent forecast. It's pretty consistent with what we've been showing, the late fall. But we have another one that says if we don't get them in May, but they're delayed till July, what does that look like? And you lose about a month in that supply-demand model. So we do have those. And then we have the one where if we get all the permits on track, that's a beautiful model. Looks great. It looks better than it did the last time council saw it. Yes, sir?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Stepping away from Channel 6 and then what is the city of Corpus Christi doing to make sure all the other cities that Corpus Christi also gives water to? Because I know there was a water supply agreement with Robson recently.
Right.
For that to be informed and those citizens as
Yeah.
well. What is going on there?
Yeah, that's an excellent question, and thank you for bringing that up. So, Nick mentioned it, I may have said it in my comments, but the city of Corpus Christi and Corpus Christi Water, we are a regional water provider. And that's not typical in a city. Usually a city provides water to the city. But our water system provides water to a 7-county region, as you just mentioned. And some of the region is not even a customer of ours. Like Robstown, they're not customers of the city, nor is Three Rivers north of here. So let's start with the cities and communities that are customers, either directly from us or indirectly through San Patricio Water District. We are meeting with them constantly to help them, one, understand the drought of record, two, to help them understand what we're doing to bring on more water, and three, we'll soon be talking to them what does a level 1 emergency mean for them and for us, so they can understand it as well. We're meeting with them also to see how can we help them. Cities like Beeville and Mathis, they're indirectly customers of ours in terms of raw water from the lakes. Same thing with Alice. And so we have a regional alliance with those 3 cities that all 3 cities with the city of Corpus Christi approved at the council level. We're playing the big brother, the good big brother, if you will, with cities like Robstown, who have the only source of water is the river. But we've seen, and you all have reported on it, that arsenic levels are up. And so what we've done is we have an interlocal agreement with them to put in an interconnect to our water system from Owen Stevens, where the arsenic level is non-detect, as evidenced by TCEQ. And in fact, I think this week our crews are helping to install that interconnect into our system. It's about a 1/4 mile pipeline. Similarly, with the community of Three Rivers, which is by Choke Canyon, they rely on Choke Canyon, and as that water source depletes, they could be in a situation where they don't have water. And so I personally went up there Monday and talked to the city administrator, and we're encouraging them to allow us to help them. They have a well about 16 miles away or so, and they have to still develop about 8 miles of pipeline to connect that well to their system. And so we offered our expertise, whether it's engineering or construction, to help them do that. So the level of engagement in the region is pretty broad. It includes our direct customers, our indirect customers, and even entities like Robstown and Three Rivers, who are not even our customers, just to help them out because we care about the region. Yeah.
Is there anything that's going to be done from the city to like kind of notify residents? Because a lot of residents can't come to city council meetings as well. They're going to be in public meetings because as us, the news media, we're getting a lot of comments. We don't understand what's going on.
Right. That's another great question. So that's why I mentioned earlier, I have been inside City Hall for a couple of years now, just working on bringing on more water supply. The next step in this is for me to get out of City Hall and get out into the community, whether it's through a video message, whether it's through town hall meetings. And that's the next phase of this. And you're right, the community doesn't understand it. When we have inaccurate information out there, or just not clear information or misinformation, it doesn't help, right, in terms of certainty, whether you're a homeowner or a family, or if you're a commercial business, or if you're a large volume industrial user. And so we have got to get that message out, and that's going to begin next week, of getting clear messages out. And we appreciate you being here because people watch the news and read the papers, and we want to get that message out that we're safe. We have a safe water supply. We have enough water, and we'll let the customers know what happens if we think we're going to have to go into a level 1 emergency, which we don't foresee right now, and we don't foresee it happening anytime soon. But you're right. The community needs better information, easier to understand information. We're going to do that through videos, through pictures, through direct conversations, through town halls. We will be in the city of Odom, I think it's next week or 2 weeks from now.
2 weeks from now.
2 weeks from now, Odom and San Patricio County. They're one of our customers indirectly. And they've asked that their city administrator said, can you come talk to us? Because our community does not know what's going on. And so we're going to be doing that. And we encourage other communities to ask us if they want us to come sooner than later. We're also making presentations at city councils. We've addressed just about every city council in this region about 2 months ago, and we're going to start that cycle again beginning Monday. Monday will be in Aransas Pass.
Yes.
At their city council. We've addressed Rockport City Council, Ingleside, Portland. We're going to try to hit up Taft and then Odom as well. We've gone to San Patricio County Commissioners Court. We've held town halls in San Patricio County. And so we're going to do those again with new strategies and communicating to the region so they understand. This is pretty complex and it can tug on emotions, we know that, so getting the best information out there will help in that information gap. Yeah, thank you. Hi, Rachel.
Hey, Peter, let's talk about misinformation.
Okay.
So, did the city tell Denise Villalobos that a worst-case scenario would be a level 1 water emergency in May, and that there was no hope for a best-case scenario?
And there was no what?
No hope for the best-case November scenario.
Yeah, so I wasn't in that meeting, but what we did do last week is we had several scenarios that we developed, knowing we were going to present them to City Council on the 17th. And because this is policy related, customary to what we do in other policy matters, is we checked to see if council, our City Council, had any questions. And so there were a few briefings for those members that did. And then similarly in this type of situation, we also brief our legislative delegation, and so that took place. I wasn't there, so I can't speak to the event. I think what may have happened is that we did show 3 scenarios, and it could have been interpreted that the worst case scenario could happen. All of them could happen. But I think the message got misunderstood or misportrayed that we've gone from this scenario to this one, right? We've got to a November scenario to a May scenario when the level 1 would be called, and that's not the message.
No, I think it was
Right.
presented as the worst-case scenario. So I just
Right.
wanted to clarify your statement related to
Okay.
that. Thank you.
Yeah, so Okay.
Landon Corn with, excuse me, I'm with the News of San Patricio newspaper. This is
Right.
specifically relating to the Evangeline groundwater project.
Okay.
I believe there was a meeting that Senator Hinojosa had attempted to set up earlier this week to
Correct.
facilitate discussions between the city of Corpus Christi and the city of Senton, and Senton declined to attend. And, they cited, what they claim is a lack of transparency, as well as in sharing information, as well as a lack of response to a proposal they believe could mitigate the ongoing permit issues. Just wondering if the city had a response to those claims, as well as Senton's declining to attend the proposed meeting.
Yes, sir. Yeah, so that meeting did take place, and I was there. We were invited. The senator allowed 3 individuals from each city to attend, and we had 3 individuals. I was one of the 3. And I was there, and we're appreciative of Senator Hinojosa, as we are with our entire delegation who are helping us through this event. It is unfortunate that Senton chose not to show up. There was nobody there from the city of Senton. The whole goal of it was to have meaningful dialogue, which has been a real missing ingredient in this project. We have made numerous attempts to sit down and talk to the city manager of Senton, the mayor. We've gone as far as going to their council meetings to speak to the entire council, and in one case we're told we couldn't speak. So that meeting that was set up was yet another attempt to communicate, and it didn't happen. Senton has made claims to their lawyer that we have not been transparent, and we reject those. We have been very transparent. We asked, I think it's months ago, for edits or comments on what this city council approved, which was an interlocal agreement that would protect Senton's water supply, and went even above that and gave good neighbor benefits like an interconnect to our system. And so we said, Senton, if there's issue with the proposal, let us know so we can fix it. The city council approved it in October of 2025. And so we waited for months for red lines to that document. It was supposed to be considered by the Senton City Council in November, and then in December, and then again in December. And then in January, they said, we're not going to consider it. Eventually, they did respond, but it was with a brand new document, a 7-page document that was nothing like the the interlocal agreement that we approved. I can tell you, because we're not supposed to share too much of that content per the lawyers, I can tell you that business proposal that they gave to us is not good for our current ratepayers. It's disingenuous to our current ratepayers. And so it's not something we're interested in because of our ratepayers. It's also pretty austere, some of the recommendations they had in there. So we responded back. There was accusations that they're still waiting on a response. We sent a response, but based on their comments from, I'm not sure how we got them, but based on their comments from this week, we had the legal team send back a very thorough red line response. So essentially it deletes everything they wrote and in place puts everything we wrote, plus amendments that we submitted to the groundwater district that were attached to the permit. So the dialogue is slow, unfortunately. We are waiting on the, what would be a preliminary hearing, as they call it, to see if Sinton, who is a protestant, has standing in objecting the permits. And so we're waiting on that to take place. Yeah. Okay.
Has the city been in contact with the governor's office since his statements earlier this week?
And what was that question about the governor?
Oh, has the city been in contact?
Yes. Right, yeah. So the question is, has the city been in contact with the governor's office? And the answer is, we've been in contact with the governor's office for weeks. And we continue to be in contact with the governor's office, the team there. I personally want to thank the governor and his team because they are helping tremendously. Sometimes it's 2-3 times a day we're talking to his team at the governor's office. They know what's going on here. They're helping us on permits, both on our eastern well field, on our western well field. They're encouraging project development, and we're hoping they'll help us with the Evangeline groundwater project. So yes, we've been in touch with them, and they've been in touch with us, and we're going to continue to have that strong relationship. I didn't say it in my comments, but we're grateful for the governor's office, and we're grateful for our state delegation, our 4 members, Chairman Hunter, Representative Villalobos, and Senator Chewy Hinojosa, and Adam, because they care, and they've demonstrated that by having meetings here with us this week. We need to continue that dialogue and continue to work with them because they're going to help us help this region. So we're going to see if Rachel has another. Okay, yeah. Okay.
I'm continuing over the water range subject.
Oh, great. Okay.
Our readers constantly ask these questions, so I wanted to pose them.
Sure.
One's a macro question, one's a micro. But this week's message of hope, I kind of want to bring it back a little bit. And just overall, will the faucets ever run dry? And if so, can the city guarantee that will never happen?
Yeah, I think the answer is no. Our faucets, and that's a good question because people say we're going to run out of water. And there was a slight variation on the reservoirs in the west could run out of water. And I think a paper not from here kind of construed that to say this city's going to run out of water. Yeah, those sources of water may run dry, but we're not going to run out of water. And so we have a somewhat diversified water system. Today we're getting 70% of our water from 2 sources in the east. We know one of them is struggling, Lake Texana, but we have the lower Colorado River that we have water rights to. And then our additional projects that we're bringing on, the groundwater projects in Nueces County and San Patricio County, those are reliable sources of water. There's 30 plus years at a minimum. If we pumped it every day for 30 years straight, the hydrogeologist says that water's available. We're not going to do that, but that water's there. So we will never run out of water. Could it be a situation where for a period of time the supply doesn't meet the demand? That's possible. And that's why we have those models. We had the one, that's why we're going to show council a whole series of them, because we really don't know what's going to happen in the next couple of months with things like permits and Lake Texana and the quality of water in the west. But I'm glad you asked that question because especially for our homeowners, we're not going to run out of water. When you go to your tap, the water's going to come out. Yeah.
And my second question is actually for homeowners in our region. Could building permits stop being issued or
Right.
CC water
Yeah.
stop cooking water?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's so in our business activity that we're going to be working on with the council and the region over these couple of coming weeks. That's one of the big topics is new connections. What we do know is the state legislature in the last legislative session put some new rules on the ability to stop new connections. We're not recommending, right now, we're hoping we don't have to recommend a stop to new connections, but even if we wanted to, the state already kind of supersedes our ability. I'm not 100% versed on what that means yet, but we'll have our legislative team and our folks that help us in Austin help us understand the new legislation, because it does put restrictions on an entity's ability to stop new connections. So that includes things like new homes, new businesses, construction taps. Yeah, so. Okay. Okay, yeah. Okay, then we'll go back to Rachel, because I know she probably, yeah.
Lydia with 3 years. Big question that, what happened to the $750 million that, the state sent to the city?
Right.
Can you just elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, I sure can. You're right. So we heard this week that number of 750 million came on. The number's really 757 million. So this city, through 2 competitive application processes with the Texas Water Development Board, a very strong partner of ours, was awarded 757 million in the lowest interest loan program that the state offers. It's the most lucrative program, and we should be excited and proud of that, because we beat out 80 applicants on each round of grant proposals. And so that 757 million was awarded from the state through the Texas Water Development Board for very low interest loans for the Inner Harbor Desalination Project. The state has told us numerous times that money can only be used for that specific project and returned if we don't do that project. And so you know that we had a contract with Kiewit that began some of the work. They got to 10% design before the council, because of price, terminated the contract. The amount of money that was spent was in excess of 50 million, I believe.
Plus or minus.
Yeah, plus
40, 50.
between 45 to 50 million dollars was spent. So that money's spent. We're not getting that back. But the remainder is either in a bank account or it's to be loaned still. The 757 wasn't one big check. Rather, it's about 2 to 3 years of loans that we'll get. Bonds, if you will, that we'll get as the work is progressing and as the money is needed. So we do have some money in an account, and then we still have to apply for this fall, the second tranche of money, and then I think there's even a third tranche of money that we have to apply for. So the access to the funds, the award of the loan is still valid, still good. So the money that we didn't spend is available, and then the next series of installments will go through the application process with the Texas Water Development Board to issue bonds. Yeah, you're welcome. Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to give you a multi-part question.
Okay.
So, to kind of clarify, the city had previously said it needed 60 million gallons per day by November to avoid curtailment.
And how much was it, Rachel?
60 million.
60, okay. Yeah.
So we now know in the latest water memo that was put out that the projected amount of new water is 20 million this year, million gallons per day. So does the city still need 60 million gallons a day in order to avoid curtailment? If
Yeah.
so, it's well short of that. And then I'm going to give you the other parts of my
Okay.
type of questions. Ultimately, residents want to know, okay, we may have a surcharge. Is the city considering other curtailment actions, like shutting off water, things like that, if we do enter an emergency? And what is the overall impact to the ratepayer? Because our debt remains the same even if we're using this water.
Right. Okay, that's a lot there to unpack. So there's several numbers and points of time, but I think one way of keeping it simple for the region and the homeowner especially is in the past, before this drought gripped us, we were getting about 70 million gallons from the western reservoirs. Okay, that's Choke Canyon and Lake Corpus Christi. That was about 70 million gallons. So the simple math is we're trying to replace 70 million gallons. And as we laid out, we have 76 million gallons of new water sources. That includes the Evangeline, 3 groundwater projects in Nueces County, and 16 million in effluent reuse, which by selling to industry effluent reuse, it frees up 16 million in fresh water that customers at the home and the commercial accounts can use. So the dashboards that we'll show on Tuesday is that when I opened up my conversation today, the most optimistic scenario, there is never a curtailment situation. And in fact, we have oversupply, which we want, because we don't want to run the groundwater wells projects in either county long-term. So what you'll see on Tuesday is 6 models of onboarding water supply. And when that water comes on, either there is no curtailment or the November timeframe is moved ever closer to here, to this month. And the 5 different models has really 5 different curtailment trigger dates. So on the issue of rates and curtailment, that's something that's the next phase in this drought management plan that we're working on. It's hard to understand, I think, for the regular community and even our businesses and our large volume users. So we'll be working with council a lot on that. The issue of surcharges, basically what that means is we increase the price for water. And so economics drives down use is the concept. I will say for the residential home, no rate surcharge goes into effect until you use more than 7,000 gallons, which is a lot. The typical home only uses 6. And the difference, I think, was only $4 a 1,000 gallons. So if you use 8,000 gallons a month, you pay $4 more. So we probably should look at it to see, is this strong enough to drive down use based on economics? But really, if we get into the situation of a level 1 water emergency, it's the honor system. Everybody's going to have to take ownership because we're not going to go around turning people's valves off on their homes or commercial businesses or the industry. And so if we say we have to cut use, it's going to be self-regulated. And it's going to have to be a community lift, a regional lift of people coming together, recognizing that we all have to do our part to get through this. And that's something that we've never been through. And so we have to flesh that out, develop that out, work with city council. One of the easier groups to work with will be the large volume users because they use about 55-60% of our water. And we're meeting with them every week right now to talk about reductions in use with them. And they'll probably be an easier class of customers to generate that savings in water use because there's only a dozen of them and they use a lot of the water each day. But the residential and the commercial and then the regional aspect of it too, we're talking about all these measures should apply regionally where we don't have jurisdiction. I can't go across the bridge and tell Randy Wright what to do, right, in Portland. So we have to figure out that regional aspect. How does that coming together as a region and as a community work to get through what could be this period? So, yeah. Okay, anything else? Okay, I think we're good. Again, thank you for being here today. We do appreciate this, and we'll do more of these in the coming weeks to make sure you guys have the best information available. Thank you.